The biggest question I had about my course was the way it was going to be taught, as well as the number of hours that we were required to attend per week. I was not able to attend an open day, but most of my worries were eased by talking to some current students via an online event that was organized by the university.
The biggest question I had about my course was, how are the lectures gonna be like? I think this is one of the most common questions in first year, and most lectures are very similar. They usually put out the slides beforehand, so it's a good tip to check them out before. You don't have to read them, but it's always good to know what you're gonna see before you start learning about it. And some lectures are very interactive, and they bring in material and they do interactive quiz, and some modules can be very different from other modules, but they always follow a quite similar structure.
The biggest question I had about my course in nutrition was what I'm going to be learning about. Despite its niche focus, I wondered if the program would still offer a comprehensive understanding akin to broader degrees such as, say, biomedical sciences or business, which seems like a more generic degree. But fortunately, the structure of the first year modules, it laid a solid foundation by starting with fundamental concepts such as introduction to nutrition, physiology, before progressing into more advanced topics such as macro and micronutrients or sports nutrition.
The biggest question I had about dental therapy was actually, how is it going to be different from dentistry? So I had this question because I had initially wanted to apply for dentistry, but then the preventive side of dental therapy drew me towards dental therapy. So one way I found out how they were going to be different or similar was by going on the Newcastle University website and looking at the module listings for both courses. I found that although dental therapy has some courses that are not the same as dentistry, I did notice that they both had certain aspects in common, such as anatomy of the head and neck and clinical skills. This is great because it allows postgraduate relationships to be built early, and it allows sharing of advice, and allows for the dental students and dental therapy students to feel on the same level, which is really nice.
So the biggest questions I had about my course before I started were probably to do with the placements in years 1 and 2, and also the curriculum in years 1 and 2. At Medicine at Newcastle, we do have early patient contact within the first few months of starting. Luckily, during induction week, we had a big lecture where everything was explained to us, and we were also given our allocations for GP surgeries and hospitals quite quickly as well. For places that are more further away, the university does provide transport too, so everything gets sorted. In terms of the curriculum in years 1 and 2, everything's taught that is kind of like the groundwork that we need for years 3, 4 and 5, the clinical years. We're able to build upon that in a spiral curriculum, going back and making sure that we've revised everything that we need to know and made sure that we laid the foundation for the building blocks for the next bit of information.
The biggest question I had about my course was, what are the facilities like and how often are they used during the degree? So I went to an open day at Newcastle University, and there I looked around all the labs and the food kitchens, and I can say that they were probably the best facilities I saw throughout all the other universities I was looking around. The food testing labs especially, they've got sensory evaluation rooms, and the kitchens are all pretty much brand new, and yeah, it's just a really nice workspace.
The biggest question I had about my course was, did I need to study a science? I'd previously only studied A-level PE, and so I was concerned as to whether I'd be behind or at a disadvantage, as I hadn't studied any A-level science or psychology. However, this has certainly not been an issue for me, and whilst it may have helped, any relevant information that people learn on them topics has been recapped and re-gone over to ensure that all students are on the same level of learning ability.